we are waiting at the airport for our flight to an exotic and colorful country. Spain to India, and more exactly, the great nation, Maharashtra. After a 15 hours flight, we finally land. Mumbai, beautiful city, full of history. It was part of the territory of a sultan, then Portuguese, English, and finally Indian in 1947. Bombay is a 7-island city connected by bridges. With lovely culture and traditions. Beautiful architecture and luxurious vegetation. Not forgetting about the national sport, the cricket. But we are here for a different purpose, discovering an ancestral art.
Hello everyone, Namaskar. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Chani, and for the people who don't know me, I'm going to tell you I've been dancing all my life. And 10 years back, I fell in love with this beautiful style that is called Laoni. I had the luck in 2016 to dance for a TV show called Dolki Chatalavar in Mumbai, where I performed Laoni with the best performers and actors. And now I decided to do this documentary to show all over the world the beautiful art and culture that is Laoni and Tamasha. So you're going to enjoy and follow me. Ready?
I'm going to one of the famous markets in Mumbai, a very traditional district. We're looking for people to interview them. We want to know their opinion about Lavani. Lavani, according to Maharashtra, is beautiful. It has all the elegance and class for women, to a tradition to follow and excel in. It is practiced by women for their pleasure, and no one can stop them. Lavani nowadays is not as beautiful and classy as it was back in the days. We must spread this art far and wide. We continue looking for more people to interview, and we take the opportunity to visit a bit the market. It's very nice to see all the shops, the old women selling flowers, wreaths, and the jewelries. Their traditions are lovely. You can definitely get lost in this labyrinth. But finally we met with the shop owner.
Lavani is a folk art, beautiful and elegant in nature, and has a very significant presence in history. People who have the heart to preserve historical culture and virtue are the ones who can take this art forward.
And looking for more people, we continue our adventure. Lavani is a traditional form of dance and has its own legacy. It is carried for generations. It comes from the time of kings and queens. Though, into this time it has been made vulgar, and the expression of the cultural dance form has been shown to be cheap, as the girls of today can't bring the innocence to the art. Next to the market, we discovered a theatre. It is one of the famous places for Tamasha and Lavani. By coincidence, we could meet a play producer that told us a bit more about it.
Lavani and Tamasha are not very far from my heart, as I am a theatre producer. and I have done plays with this form of dance. It is a beautiful form of dance. Enacting feelings, words and expressions. It is a beautiful art coming down from the pages of history. It is a kind of offering to the Almighty. People watch and enjoy, and it is not vulgar at all, as this has been claimed by people who are less educated about it. It is a dance form with a long legacy, and cannot be told in a short interview like this.
After meeting and interviewing the people on the streets of Mumbai, we are going now to the museum Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj to learn more about the history of Maharashtra. Then we will meet an author and a historian to know the origin and evolution of the art of Lavani. We started investigating and found that the first important dynasty in this region after the fall of the Mauryan Empire were the Satavahana. Kalyan and Sopana were important cities in this time for trades with other countries. But what interests us is the artistic and cultural part of history. In the 2nd century, a king of this dynasty, called Gautamiputra, was known to organize festivals for his subjects. In the famous Nashik caves were found inscriptions about how the king organized such theatrical entertainment. Dances, songs, dramatic performances, ballad recitation, acrobatics, boxing and much more were part of the festivals, showing that Maharashtra from a very ancient time was known for its flourishing cultural tradition. Another ruler from the same dynasty, King Hala, was passionate by poetry and art. Hala collected Prakrit songs of Gatas in a book that reflected the folk life and culture of Maharashtra of early centuries. We can find many references to dancing, singing, drama and musical instruments. Some Gatas were about love and eroticism. They were called Rati Natak. And considering the erotic tone of Lavani, some scholars think that Gatas are the rudimentary stage of Lavani. It means that it could be the origin of this ancestral art. We have to wait until the 12th and 13th century to see the first writings on Lavani. We are under the dynasty of the Yadavas. And it is in the year 1290, with the poet San Nanashwar, that we see in many details how he describes the dance and drama, in many points very similar to the actual Lavani and Tamasha.
In medieval period, Gana Bhajana, the performance and singing was branded as the work from the common community, from the lesser community. These Kolati and Dombari, they are basically acrobat community. They are playing on the rope, they were playing on the stick, lati, they were playing on the strength of dholki, drums, tasha, tabla, and they were wanderers. They were wandering from this village to one village to another village, one city to another city. And basically, they were living outside of the villages. That is Mad, Mada Murud, means a barren patch of land outside of the city or the village. So this community was a wandering community, acrobat community, and these folk dances, tamasha dances and Lavani came from this community, that is Dombaris and Kolatis.
At the end of the 13th century and the beginning of the 14th, the Delhi Sultanate prevailed and Maharashtra was under Muslim influence for about 150 years. The word tamasha appears and has its origin in Persian language.
When there was an invasion of Muslims in southern Maharashtra, that time they had a culture or tradition of Muzra. That Muzra tradition was there in North India. when they invaded the South India, that time the tradition of Muzra, they have in their mind. Muslim soldiers, and when they come to the Maharashtra, the ladies or the people from nomadic tribes, they used to entertain those people where they have camped, military camp. They used to entertain these people, soldiers, Muslim soldiers.
In the 17th century, after many wars, the Marathas arrived. Incredible warriors who, thanks to their skills, managed to expel the invaders and create the Maratha Empire with Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj as ruler in Raigad. Lavani then begins to become more famous. In Shivaji's time, great celebrations were held for holy festivities, where the gods were worshipped. For entertaining the devotees then, there were performances and dances. Shivaji's Guru Ram Das spoke a lot in his writings about entertainment through theatre and dance.
Lavani is also a form of showing one's gratefulness to the gods. It talks about God and praises it, sometimes it calls the gods, or even complains to them. It has a lot to do with Lord Krishna.
Over the years, the Maratha Empire prospered and reached its peak with the Peshwas in the early 18th century and lasted 1 century. They established their capital in the city of Pune. The golden age of the Lavani began.
Those dances were arranged by Peshwa himself. The court of Peshwa, Bajirao II, was in Shaniwarwada of Peshwa, and there was famous one Ganesh Mahal. That Mahal was recognized as the palace of color, that is Ranga Mahal, and Lavani songs were arranged there. So there was the support of the state, support of the Raja, and encouragement from the Raja, and many big poets and ballad writers cropped up in the same period. Therefore, naturally, that period turned into a golden period for Lavani songs and tamashas in Maharashtra.
Lavani evolved through the centuries, but the oldest form that we still perform nowadays is the Baithakachi style. A seated performance, the girl is singing and her body and face express what she wants to say.
One area of Lavani is Baitakichi Lavani. Baitak means to sit there, perform, not actually with dance, but on the strength of your voice. And it was very famous. It was mainly performed on the strength of Adha. That is, the strength of your voice, on the strength of your powerful face and actions, your eyes, your nose, and some gaiety, nakhre, shikwe, natak, adakari. That song was very famous as a Baitakichi Lavani.
With this golden age, started appearing new Lavani styles. After the Third War against the Britishers, in 1818, the Marathas lost their empire and the art suffered a lot. It was a difficult time and artists had to reinvent themselves to get ahead. Thus, travelling theatres as we know them today were created in the mid-19th century, paying admission to watch the show.
So it faded, but Lavani has always known to bounce back. So there are ups and downs in the spectrum, if you see. So there have been some ups like Peshwais, then it went down, but it never died as such. Even today it is alive, it has changed the form, but that's the speciality of any form which stays through the test of time. So Lavani is one form, I feel that it has stayed here and it has changed its form, but it is still good.
The art of Lavani has undergone many changes throughout history. And now, what we want is to meet contemporary artists so they can tell us about the Lavani nowadays. we are going to meet two artists and actresses. They invited me to their place to talk about Lavani. The first one, Megha Ghadge.
त्याला म्हणते मी नको नाही नाही अगं पण का?
A talented artist who has won many awards. She has worked for movies, but she keeps the tradition by performing Lavani.
लावणीला खरं तर classical.
Lavani has the classical base of Kathak, and the feet work is same like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. हे आहेच ना, त्याचं बेसिकच आहे ना कथक.
That means Lavani can be called a form of classical dance also.
कारण आपण एक वेगवेगळ्या फॉर्मने आपण एक करतोच की लावणी.
And Lavani has many branches in itself, and that's been carried forward for ages now.
कशा पद्धतीने लावणी, खडी लावणी आहे, बैठकीची लावणी आहे, घडातली लावणी आहे. अशा बऱ्याच फॉर्म आहेत ना आपल्याकडे पारंपरिक पद्धतीने आपण ज्या पद्धतीने प्रेझेंट करतो लावणी.
The feet tell the story first on the rhythm of the dholki. Then the body and facial expressions tell the theatric tale.
कारण ढोलकी आणि घुंगरांची साथ पहिली येते, नंतर मग शरीर बोलतं, मग एक्सप्रेशन सगळे लोकांपर्यंत प्रेझेंट होतात. असं सगळं आहे.
अगं पण का? कारण त्यांना हो पॉइंट माझा कळना, 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 त्यांना हो पॉइंट माझा कळना.
ऍक्च्युली जेव्हा मी लावणीचे क्लासेस सुरू करायचा निर्णय घेतला, कारण
When I decided to start Lavani classes, I realized that even though we are in modern times, people have a very wrong idea about Lavani.
जरी आपण मॉडर्न याच्यामध्ये राहत असतो,
The people who actually allowed me to start my classes, educated people and well-known, said that they felt very embarrassed to tell neighbors that Lavani was being practiced and taught. This is where the wrong notion of Lavani can be taken, and I had to stop my classes. These people are now big politicians, talking about preserving our folk art and history. There are people who don't get a chance to learn this art due to the wrong set of notions spread by gossip mongers and uneducated people. Our next artist is Aditi Bhagwat, a Kathak and Lavani dancer who loves to innovate in her dance. She is also an actress, and she is going to talk about her experience with the dance.
Lavani was one thing that was very, very close to my heart. Now, as far as the technical aspects of Kathak and Lavani are concerned, you will see a lot of similarity in the footwork. That's why I mentioned that the Jaipur style signifies fast, speedy footwork and twirls and jumps, which were characteristics that I could translate and use in my Lavani performances. Because a lot of footwork, a lot of hand gestures, movements, springing up, sprinting up in the air and landing on the floor were certain things that I could use from Kathak back in Lavani to give a really, really energy-filled performance. And then Lavani also has all those subtle elements that denote a woman's beauty, her essence, her grace, her dignity of her soul and her spirit and her superficial beauty. Lavani is largely based on the poetry, the folk culture, the life, the customs, the rituals of people living in that particular state, in that particular area. So while being a Maharashtrian has helped me understand Lavani a lot, the music a lot, the instruments a lot.
रात केरे केरे दाटा सकव्याचा राना आतुरल डोळ कान ठरकल पान आतुरल डोळ कान ठरकल पान पाणी पाणी काळजात झालं पाणी पाणी काळजात झालं बघा पाण्यावरी सावध आलं ग बघा पाण्यावरी सावध आलं ग
And let me tell you one thing, being a Maharashtrian, I have, belonging to the state of Maharashtra in India, I have met a lot of people who belong to my community who don't speak highly about Lavani. They don't really appreciate the dance form, and I always question why. I mean, it is what gives our state its own unique character, its own unique identity. And why would people from the same community be against the one dance form, the one beautiful cultural art form, which is a class apart? And well, that was one attempt why I chose to take up Lavani as my other passion, because I felt if a Kathak dancer moves ahead and goes ahead and takes up Lavani as a dance form, which is often frowned upon, maybe a class of audience that will never approach, that will never step out of their house to watch a Lavani performance, will probably be more interested.
Kathak has been given more respect and considered a classical dance. Lavani also has everything of a great dance form, but it was not recognized or given the place of a classical dance. A kind of misunderstood dance form also. Lavani though is more open, and there are not rules that block its freedom in expression. It can change beat, style, and form on the go. That's why Lavani is more popular in films, as it has grace as well as strength to change with time, just right for the theater.
Let's go, and we will meet the students and teacher at the Lok Kala Academy, a place where you can learn about the Marathi arts.
Traditional folk form, Lok Kala.
This is a traditional folk form that's taught in this institution.
PG diploma in performing folk arts.
It's a one-year PG diploma degree after graduation. Here we teach 5 forms of folk art.
Tamasha, Bharud, Gondhal, Jagran, Dashavtar, Khadigammat, Powara, Shahiri.
As it's a practical course, we teach folk singing, folk dance, and folk theatre.
The students are playing the typical and traditional instruments used for centuries. The beats of a dholak, which is an Indian drum, a cymbal called a manjeera, a string instrument called a tuntuna, a daff which is quite similar to a tambourine but has a single leather surface, along with a harmonium. While some of the students start the class with music and singing, the girls wrap their anklets with the bells to be prepared for the dance.
The ghungroos which you see in traditional Lavani performances, which actually you can see only in Sangeet Bari, Tamasha and the banner shows where they dance on stage, those are different. They are larger in size, they are metallic, they are chained through a metal chain, and they are not woven into a thread or unlike other classical dance forms. And the reason behind this is Lavani is the only dance form which has retained the original style of ghungroos.
It's time to see the students doing rehearsal of their Lavani dance. This part is called Toda and is the introduction of the Lavani. It's a percussion part where the dancers follow the rhythm with their feet and body, always showing the femininity through the gestures. The postures are really special in this dance style. Women have to show their attributes. The bells are different from the ones used in classical dances, as they are separate into 2 and not into 4. They are much heavier and can be 3 to 5 kilograms. The sound is also distinct. Let's watch and enjoy a small part of the dance. The movements are energetics, and the rhythm just accelerate. This part of the dance can be long, like 10 minutes, sometimes more. It's a very important part of Lavani, and it's really nice to see it in its traditional form today.
Lavani is not only folk dance. Lavani in general, you cannot say that it's only a folk dance. It is an amalgamation of dance, singing and enactment. Three things together. That is called singing, enactment, adakari, and then the dance. So three things together. Lavani, initially the word Lavani is derived from the Lasya rasa. Lasya is a ras which is known for Parvati. When Shankar was furious, Parvati used to appease Shankar with her dance, and that dance, that beauty of the dance, there is an aesthetic in that dance. That aesthetical dance, romantic dance, aesthetical dance, dance with the eroticism, dance with the appeasement is linked with the rasa. Rasa means the mode of expressions. There are different mode of expressions. Devotion, shringar, that is eroticism, peace, devotion, peace. There are different rasas. Lavani is linked up with the dance, which is beautiful, which is erotic, which has got full of romanticism, beauty, and that too connected to Parvati.
After meeting the director, I wanted to know more about the religious part of dance and more specifically about Lavani. So I am going to meet a professional dancer. She will explain us about the goddess and her dance. She also invited us to a puja. So I am very excited to see how it is going to be. After the traffic jam, we finally reach. Prajakta is already preparing the altar for the god Nataraj. Fruits, flowers, sweets, incenses, and candles are part of it. The bells are also put in the altar to ask for blessings to the god. It's really nice to see how they teach the kids their traditional culture. The puja of the bells, Dashera, Guru Purnima, these are the times when the artist can perform for the gods and people, giving back in their little way to get back their blessings to the Lord Nataraja, who has blessed them. I learned this art from my mother, and then I went ahead to learn the other classical dances. Radha Mohan is my guru, Bharatnatyam is the form I learnt. I learned grace, expression from there. On the auspicious occasion of Nataraja Puja, we grant the Nataraja 5 types of fruits, 5 colors of flowers, and sweets that he loves. And we also give the gods Guru Dakshina, whatever we desire. It's said Nataraja himself comes and blesses us. The kumkum and kurkuma are important part of this rituals. This powder gives the strength to the dancers to hit the floor with their feet and also gives purity and connection to the gods. After explaining about the puja, now we will know about Nataraj and Parvati. On the occasion of Nritya Shaili, when Shiva started doing the Tandav, his beloved wife Parvati also started doing the dance. She brought in the gracefulness and happiness into the dance form. Lavani has come from the goddess Parvati itself. Is one of the stories related with Lavani as a folk dance. It has a graceful element in it. It has discipline, love, sadness, anger in its dances. It has all the 9 emotions, as we call it, Navras. It's vast if you go into understanding the dance form. It's sometimes for the gods, sometimes just planned entertainment. It's a whole lifetime of experiences. And legends of dance have been involved in its journey, with lots of history attached to it. Lavani is an education, not just a dance. We are now invited to a dance practice of one of the most famous Lavani show in Mumbai. We will meet Bhushan Kodgaonkar, the director of the show.
And I have been researching Lavani since last 15 years. So me, together with my partner Savitri Medhatul, we run a theatre production company called Kalivilli Productions. And through this company, we have started this show called Sangeet Bari. So initially in 2008, we did a documentary film on Lavani, and we focused on 2 genres of Lavani. One is Sangeet Bari and the other is Banner Show. So when we started researching for Lavani, we realized that there is enough coverage and enough material about Dholki Phadacha Tamasha because of Marathi films, and some Hindi films have also covered that format. But Sangeet Bari is something which was not really explored, neither through literature, nor through films, nor through any TV serials or any other media. So we thought that this is a very old tradition of Lavani, and yet it is unexplored. Traditionally, Lavani has been catering to all male audience, but in Sangeet Bari show, we try, and so there can be a confusion because Sangeet Bari is the name for the old tradition, and the same name we have borrowed for our show. So I'll always specify Sangeet Bari show. So Sangeet Bari show, we have audience who are 50-50, or sometimes women are more in numbers than men. And what we experience is women enjoy equally along with men. And so why Lavani was always catering to men? Because it was believed it's a patriarchal society. Men have an upper hand. So it was believed that they need entertainment. And then the matriarchal community women will dance and sing and perform for them in order to entertain them. But now we are moving towards equality. So women as much need an entertainment as men. And we challenge the notion that why a woman dancing should entertain only a man. When you say Lavani, instantly a Maharashtrian person will associate it with Tamasha, because Tamasha is well exposed and well known thing, which is like a traveling troupe. People travel from one place to another, and they have a very large team of artists, which is like hundreds of artists, and they perform overnight in front of like thousands of audience members, and it includes a lot of entertainment. A lot of entertainment shows. So Lavani is just one aspect of this tamasha. So their focus is on social commentary and political satires, and they have this folk drama, or they call it as Vaganatya. So through that they try to create entertainment, but at the same time social awareness and political comments and all that. Whereas Sangeet Bari, it focuses, Sangeet means music and Bari means turn. So turn by turn they perform, these troops perform, and that's why they have coined the term Sangeet Bari. And this is like personalized entertainment. So you might have heard about old kings and their courts and how courtesans used to perform. Sangeet Bari is the same thing, which has been continued over generations. And these are all matriarchal communities who perform into this. And they have their own troops. And there are around 8 to 10 troops in one theatre, and likewise there are 40 such theatres in Maharashtra. And these theatres are government established, government issues license to these theatres for performance, and these women who run this troupe, they also take out a performance license.
मला पिरतीच्या झुल्यात झुलवा, राया पिरतीच्या झुल्यात झुलवा, अन इश्काचा गुलखंद गिलवा, मला पिरतीच्या झुल्यात झुलवा, राया पिरतीच्या झुल्यात.
Even if Lavani is a feminine dance, it's not only for women. Men are part of the tradition. Some shows are performed only by men and are famous in Maharashtra since many centuries. They dance with the same grace as a woman. They are an important part of the art.
So in Sangeet Bari tradition, it was women who were always into this profession, and women used to sing Lavani. When it came to Tamasha, it was considered that, as I mentioned earlier, that Tamasha is performed for thousands of audience members at the same time. So it was believed that women are not capable of performing to such large audience, or they shouldn't do that, in the sense that because of lot of societal pressures. So Sangeet Bari, it was a personalized entertainment. So those small rooms, women used to perform, but when it comes to a public performance, it was men who used to perform. So yes, as a public performance, men were the first one who performed Lavani, but women have always been performing Lavani in private performances.
In 2010, a movie became a hit and made Lavani famous worldwide. Natarang, the story about a man who wanted to create a theatre group and became a Natya. We are going to meet the choreographer at a dance academy to know more about the movie and how it influenced Lavani.
Suddenly this one Marathi reality show came, Ekapeksha Ek, and at the same time I got this film called Natarang. and in Ekapeksha Ek, I won that as a choreographer, and I performed also, and that time people could connect me with Boogie Woogie. So I got that fame as a choreographer because we are technicians. But I could come on TV and become, as I was a performer, I got this love from the audience. And I got this film called Natarang. Ravi Zadav, the director of the film, was very keen on taking a new choreographer, and he's been following me since Boogie Woogie, and he's been seeing my choreography in Ekapeksha Ek on Zee Marathi. So when I got Natarang, I was a little hesitant because Lavani had never choreographed as such professionally. Of course, for Ekapeksha Ek, whatever I could choreograph on my contestant, Lavani was one of the dance form. But when I got Natarang, I did a lot of research on my own. I saw many old movies. I read about the Lavani performers and everything. And somehow, now then, the rest is a history. Natarang created a history in Marathi film industry. It became a super hit film. And then I realized what Lavani is. And in that whole process, I loved the way, because it's very similar to Kathak. It's very, you have to express yourself. It's not only dance, it's about expressing the words, and I always like the lyrical choreography.
An important character of the Tamasha appears in the film, the Natya. In history, he appears quite late in time. He took a comic role with time and became also like the protector of the girls. Its appearance is androgynous, maybe dress a sari or something more masculine with the makeup and women's ornaments. The gesture is totally feminine.
Being Atul Kulkarni, he had to play two characters, in a half movie he's a very macho and a very strong person, and other half he's become very thin. He had to lose weight, and he had to do a little feminine movements, and that was a challenge for me. And yes, once I have this, we used to go to his house in the morning and rehearse for this thing, how to move your hand, move your neck, how to walk. And one fine day we both were walking in his house, and suddenly his servant came. She was in a shock because she saw Atul walking with me, with a very feminine style. So it was fun, and he being a very sensitive actor and a very good actor, everyone knows Atul. He picked up the steps like this, and as a part of our study, even I choreographed a Lavani on him. When we were, I was teaching him the basics of Lavani movements. Vazli Ki Bara was a 7-minute Lavani, and I got that when 2 days prior to the shoot. And I only that Dholki piece, I could only choreograph that, and rest I choreographed on the spot, and Amruta picked up on the spot, and we decided the shots on the spot. So I think Vazli Ki Bara was my first Lavani which I choreographed for the film. And it was a great experience, because after that, any Lavani people give me, and I think my spontaneity helped me. If I would have been a kind of a choreographer who go there, think and do, then it was very difficult, because we had only 2 nights for Vazli Ki Bara, and Amruta was wearing 2.5 kg ghumroos in both. Almost 5 kg she was carrying, and she never complained about it. Till after 2 nights, after the last shot, she showed me the scars on her legs and scars on her back because of the jewelry and everything. So Vazli Ki Bara, but I think it was worth the all this pain and everything and the tension, because it became a very super hit song for Amruta also and for me also. I believe cinema is a very powerful medium in India. Unfortunately or fortunately, almost 80% of the audience watch cinema. It's a big entertainment we have in India, and through cinema, Lavani is taking it's reaching now, because till Natarang, Tamasha film, I think Natarang came after 25-30 years in industry, in Marathi industry. So after Natarang, I think people's point of view to look at the Lavani totally changed. Means from very good families, now they are allowed, the females were not allowed, girls were not allowed to learn Lavani. but now from very good families. I have been to a college program in a very big Sydenham college I've been to recently, and they had only Lavani competition, and there 4-5 boys also perform Lavani, and the girls, and I love that thing because we quickly adopt the Western culture. But nowadays, because of Natarang, I would definitely give credit to Natarang. After that, people's look after point of view, what do you call people's POV, point of view only, to look at the Lavani totally changed, and I think that's a great change we have in cinema. And nowadays, Lavani is equally treated, like Lavani was not treated that well, with other dance forms, but now Lavani is like one of the dance form. It's being treated, even for the kids also perform Lavani. We had done one reality show where the kids were doing Lavani. So I think Lavani is getting a good reputation in India.
After our conversation, we know now that cinema is an important thing in India. So we are on our way to meet, this time, an Indian film journalist, critic, author of 12 books, and historian. She has been honored with an award in 2017 by the President of India. She is going to tell us more about how cinema has influenced the art of Lavani and Tamasha.
So, Bollywood films are made in Maharashtra and belong to Maharashtra because they are called Hindi movies. But Lavani came into Bollywood after a very long time. Anybody who is used to watching Indian movies is exposed to the Lavani dance through the Marathi cinema. And in Marathi cinema, all the beautiful heroines, whether they were playing a householder or they were playing the Tamasha girl, there have been scenes of Lavani dances. And they have had the best of dancers, whether it was Jayashree Gadkar or any of the heroines of that time, in black and white or in color cinema. I would say that in black and white cinema, the Lavnis were more authentic. In Hindi cinema, Lavani was exposed for the first time in mainstream, big budget film in Bhumika, and the year was 1977, and the filmmaker was Shyam Benegal. Bhumika told the story of a Marathi actress. It was a biopic, and it followed her career and her personal life, played by the beautiful and the gorgeous Smita Patil. Now, what happened in this film was that Shyam Benegal, being a documentary filmmaker and also an ad filmmaker, was very, very detailed in his work, and everything that he portrayed in his movies was always extremely authentic. So because of that, Smita Patil, the heroine of the film, had to go through a vigorous Lavani dance training. The choreographer was put in charge of her to teach her all the nuances of the steps, of the expressions and the abhinaya before the shooting began. And the Lavani was such a highlight of the film that I know at that time I was a budding journalist, and Mr. Bachchan had seen this Lavani and was so impressed with the actress. And after that, a lot of heroines wanted to do Lavani in the films.
But in film industry, not everything is perfect, and sometimes the dance don't do justice to the real art form. Some confusion happens about the style. Let's see what our experts think about it.
This conflict and the confusion of what is a Lavani and what is a Tamasha dance and what is just a Nawari sari wearing dance has continued over the decade. I would blame the choreographers in Hindi movies who did not bother to demarcate the classical, authentic Lavani dance from a regular Nawari dance, Nawari sari dance. So what they did was that in one of the dance steps, they would take the sari on the top and then do jig, 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 and everybody thought that bas yehi hai Lavani dance. There was no finesse, there was no detailing, the hand mudras were not correct, the expressions were not of a regular tamasha dancer who is just luring the customer but not getting available to the audience. So in 2012, what happens in Hindi movies is when one movie of a particular costume or of a particular rhythm does well, then everybody wants to repeat the same pattern and the same dance. So in 2012, Karan Johar directed Agnipath, in which the ruling empress at that time, Katrina Kaif, was given a very seductive number called Chikni Chameli. So she does these few steps again, which are borrowed from the Tamasha art form, but is not a pure lovely dance. And it became a huge success, because of which in 2012, 3 more films came. The first was with Vidya Balan. Yeah. So Vidya Balan sings Mala Jaude. And then Rani Mukherjee in Ayya did $1 ka dance. At the same time, I have to say that whenever Marathi movies asked Hindi cinema's leading heroines to do a cameo or an item number or a guest appearance in the Marathi movies and were given choreographers who understood Lavani, they really sparkled and shined. Particularly Rekha, who is recognized as a very good dancer, because Rekha is somebody who gets her steps right, who gets her expressions right, who gets her mudras right, who gets her energy right. So these movies where the heroines have done lovely in Marathi movies are an absolute pleasure to watch.
भरल्या बाजारी धनी मला तुम्ही हेरलं असं का हेरलं ते हेरलं लगीन आपलं ठरलं आता चांगलं झालं की लगीन झालं गोंधळ झाला आता एक काम हो उरलं आता आणि काय उरलं लोणावळा खंडाळा कोल्हापूरचा पन्हाळा बेंगलोर गोवा आणि काश्मीरला लोणावळा खंडाळा कोल्हापूरचा पन्हाळा बेंगलोर गोवा आणि काश्मीरला कुठ कुठ जायचं हनीमूनला सांगा कुठ कुठ जायचं हनीमूनला कुठ कुठ जायचं हनीमूनला आता कुठ कुठ जायचं हनीमूनला लोणावळा खंडाळा कोल्हापूरचा पन्हाळा बेंगलोर गोवा आणि काश्मीरला कुठ कुठ जायचं हनीमूनला राया कुठ कुठ जायचं हनीमूनला रातभर एकली जागू कशी सासूला अडचण सांगू कशी रातभर एकली जागू कशी सासूला अडचण सांगू कशी घरात पाहुणं दारात मिळून एकांत मिळना भेटायला घरात पाहुणं दारात मिळून एकांत मिळना भेटायला कुठ कुठ जायचं हनीमूनला आता कुठ कुठ जायचं हनीमूनला कुठ कुठ जायचं हनीमूनला आता बोला किंवा हनीमूनला
In the Marathi movies, it's not always that Lavani is looked down upon or that it is considered a kind of a defamed dance. In fact, even the Kotika dance, which Hindi movies project, are no more defamed because it calls for a specific skill and a specific tutelage, only which can help you to convince. So I think in recent times, I would say in Natran, the Lavani has got a certain dignity and a platform and a new image. And similarly, in the olden times, I remember watching a film called Pinjara, which had Sriram Lagu and Sandhya. And in that, it's a man from a noble man falls in love with a tamasha dancer, and how the entire society ostracizes him, isolates him, and he takes it because he loves a woman and he's going to be with a woman. And in fact, there comes a stage when the woman starts getting apologetic about her art form, and he says, you mustn't, because this is something you do it well and you must take pride in it. And I like that. Anything that Bollywood does is something that everybody wants to do, whether it's the young generation or the old art forms. And every time a Hindi film heroine has done a Lavani, that Marathi film has done extremely good business. The movie clip has become very popular in the olden days on television, and today on the digital media. So I think today we are living in a society where nobody says that this is black and this is white. We are living in a society where every art form is being accepted, embraced, and I feel Lavani is such an old art form, and it is dying, and it is getting polluted, and it is getting interpolated with the modern choreography, and we must all together to care for art form, take care to preserve it, to nurture it. Just in the way there are dance schools for classical dances like Bharatanatyam and Kathak, and there are dance classes for Garba dance during Navratri. Why cannot there be dance classes for somebody who wants to learn Lavani? It does not mean that Lavani dance form is restricted to the tamasha. It can come on the platform, because whenever cinema is celebrated at film festivals, at centenary years, at milestone events, there is always a Lavani dance included in this very, very special program, concert.
We are already at the end of our journey, but before leaving, a last beautiful message to the world from our experts.
When I was a General Council member of Sangeet Natak Academy, Government of India, I have stressed that in the meeting that Lavani should be known as a world heritage, or the what you call the intangible cultural heritage. It should have been an intangible cultural heritage, because in Kerala you got the Kudiyattam for the intangible cultural heritage. Even Kalbelia is intangible cultural heritage. Why not Lavani? Because Lavani has got the beauty, Lavani has got the merit, and on that merit, Lavani should have been recognized as an intangible cultural heritage of India.
Because Lavani has the discipline, it has the structure, it has the literature more than anything else. Poetry, literature, it has background, it has traditional background, it has cultural background, and then it has been established over the last so many years. So many big eminent artists, musicians, singers, dancers have given their soul and their spirit to this dance form to keep it alive, and then right from them to contemporary artists like me have tried bringing Lavani to a different pedestal. And I feel because of all these attempts, Lavani has to be recognized at par with probably any other dance discipline, simply because of the way it is performed, the kind of grace it carries on stage, and the kind of hard work a dancer needs to put in, a singer needs to put in, to be able to sing those Lavani compositions, to be able to dance those Lavani compositions with that level of mastery and skill.
राजसा जवळी जरा बसा जीव हा पिसा तुम्हा विण पायी राजसा जवळी जरा बसा जीव हा पिसा तुम्हा विण पायी कोणता करू शिणगार सांगा तरी काही राजसा
It is getting better reputation, and people from all walks of life want to learn Lavani, they want to enjoy Lavani. All this is happening. but the original style of Lavani, which is a seated performance, which shows intricacies of small nuances of your expression and your singing, that is dying. And it is soon going to get lost unless we make some solid efforts to preserve it.
It has its own origin, its impact. It made impact for many generations, and definitely it is a part and parcel of our Maratha culture, Southern Indian culture, and it is a gift of God, I will say.
As there are different forms of art and dance in our nation that talk about their own culture and lifestyle, Lavani and Tamasha must always be promoted till the end of time. It must travel far and wide. We would love to greet and call people from different places in the world who follow our culture and dance to our state and perform. In this way, we will grow as a respectful state and be richer as a country.